I don't know about you guys, but there's little I like more than good-mannered guys with the power to fuck you up. Hola! For this week, allow me to introduce to you a manga that is, of course, not yet very well known. It is called Jigoku Kurayami Hana Naki, and it's based on a novel by the same name. The story is written by Michio Yoru, and the manga is drawn by Todo Luka. I don't know these people, and I don't think a lot of people do. Anyways, the title roughly translates to "There are no flowers in the darkness of hell," I guess. It doesn't sound as good in English, but you know. At the time of filming this, 2 volumes have been published. There are no English translations as far as I can tell, but I could find Chinese ones. The manga is still serializing and it's being published in Young Ace, a seinen magazine. This story has many things I've talked about before on this channel. First of all, the protagonist. He's a young man, he's called Tono Seiji, and he's living the classic NEET lifestyle too, you know, Nat Cafe and everything. He spends most of his days reading in bookstores and that's basically it. And he doesn't want to go back to his parents' house because he's afraid of getting yelled at. And one more thing that adds to his unfortunate circumstances is the fact that whenever he sees his own reflection, it appears to be something else. Anyways, things in his life are getting more and more serious. And he's at the point that where if he continues like this, he's gonna end up homeless. Buying his last onigiri from the konbini, Seiji takes a lottery paper, like from the konbini lottery, and on this paper is written hell, indicating that he's gonna have an encounter with hell or going towards hell. And looking at his life, he can't exactly disagree. So he strolls around town and suddenly he notices a creature. And this creature is walking around saying, "Don't you want to hang yourself?" So it appears that not only his own reflection is weird, but that Seiji can actually see people's true appearances. Because a second later, it turns out that this creature was just a normal looking woman. And we learned that Seiji is actually able to see the true form of people. And they're not any creatures too. The creatures that actually appear in Japanese folklore. And he's been able to see these creatures ever since he was a child. Of course, this didn't make his life easy. So he got distracted and scared by this woman, and before he knows it, he finds himself on a small road that leads to a tunnel. He passes through it, and before him stands a huge Western-style mansion. He goes inside wanting to ask for directions, but he's already greeted by a girl there that appears to have been waiting for him. The girl leads him further inside into a room. Inside, there is a boy who introduces himself as Saijo Shiroshi. Naturally, they have cake and talk for a while. Shiroshi tells Seiji what his business is, but he didn't quite catch it, but you know, whatever. All he knows is that apparently Shiroshi listens to people's problems and has sort of a consultation agency. So naturally, Seiji is also asked about his problems, and he actually tells him the truth, you know, about his weird monster seeing ability. To Seiji's surprise, Shiroshi doesn't laugh at him. Instead, he takes out a book from his library. He asks Seiji if the creatures he sees look like the ones in the book. And yes, they do. At this point, Shiroshi offers Seiji a job as his live-in assistant, including pocket money, food, you know, everything. And of course, it's hard for Seiji to decline such an offer. So he agrees. And his job is basically to wait for people to arrive at Shiroshi's place and then look at their appearance, at their true appearance, and point them out in the book. And the first guest appears immediately. And turns out it was the woman he saw in the street before. So this marks the beginning of their relationship as boss and assistant. So what exactly do they do together? Well, it turns out that Shiroshi is actually the son of some demon king, and he basically banishes people to hell. And Seiji is basically only here to identify the creature, so Shiroshi knows what to do with it or how to deal with it or like exercise it, I guess. And what's really cool about the story is the folklore elements. All of these creatures exist in Japanese folklore. and it's explained who they are and their characteristics and all that stuff. I always think that I can learn something or at least take something from each manga, And I guess this time this is it, at least. I mean, I also think the story is quite nice so far. And Seiji is able to see people's sins, right? But doesn't he also have them? I mean, his reflection isn't exactly identical. So that alone makes me want to read more. It also has a bit of a detective story vibe, which is also nice. And while it does talk about more serious things, it has comedic moments. And as far as I can tell, it's not extremely dark. It's probably more like Jigoku shoujo. So if you like that, you might like this one too. I also like characters like Shiroshi, who present themselves in this refined and polite manner, but are actually able to literally drag you to hell. Kind of like Sebastian. A few comments about the art. It's not my favorite style, but it's decent enough. And if you look at the covers, even for the novel, they look quite beautiful. And honestly, the art on the cover of the novels is more to my liking, but I still like the style of the manga as well. I think sometimes it looks really good, but then it's just like fine. And especially Shiroshi, he's always described as this extremely beautiful boy. And I'm not saying he's ugly by any means, but I wouldn't have said so. So yeah, only 11 chapters have come out as far as I know. I think volume 2 was published in November, so it was just a little while ago. So tell me if you know this manga or if you want to read it. It's published in a seinen magazine, but I don't know, I feel like it's more... to me, it has many almost shoujo elements. I don't know. Yeah, I think if you like Jigoku shoujo and Kuroshitsuji and stuff like that, I think this might be right up your alley. So yeah, that is it for this week. And as always, thank you very much for watching.